Basically, hello everyone, and in this video I want to talk about Spring Boot framework. And there are a lot of things in the Spring Boot world, but today I want to focus on how in a Spring Boot application, how a database connection and everything, how do we interact with database basically. Okay, so let's say we have our Spring Boot app, or let's say any application for now, and this app, so most of the application which is built in IT industry, right, requires some sort of a interaction with DB. Okay, and this DB is not on the same machine as our application is running. Okay, so once you have a different machine, then there has to be a way to establish a connection, right? So that we can communicate, right, regarding different things that we want to. So how does basically a plain Java application, let's say, connects to a DB, right? So let's imagine a scenario when you are using MySQL Workbench, right? Okay, let me just do this. So yeah, so MySQL Workbench. Okay, how do you basically connect to a database using MySQL Workbench? You provide certain connection parameters like the JDBC URL and the port and the database name, username, password, and all. So, and then you get to connect with this database server. Now, in a Spring Boot world, right, you also provide the JDBC URL, username, and password, and then you connect to a database, right? However, in plain Java, if there are, you have to connect, you have to write a lot of code there. Okay, so I am speaking Spring Boot. So mind this word that I'm talking about Spring Boot. However, in Spring, we would not be so easily able to connect to a database as we connect using Spring Boot, right? So in Spring Boot we might have to handle a lot of things by ourselves, right? Like establishing a connection and then closing that connection, and also like if there are any error which is happening, right? So any error which is happening, that also you might need to handle it yourself. Okay, and this is where Spring Boot comes in the picture, and how it just takes up all this configuration works, and this it does it for yourself, so that you as a Java developer don't have to focus a lot on how this database connectivity is taking place, and if the connection refuses, then you have to handle it separately, like try catch errors and all. So those things you don't need to do here, and that's why in Spring Boot basically we have just a second, yeah, so we just provide of certain parameters and we are able to do this. Now moving ahead, right? So let's say your Java application is like your Spring Boot Java application has Java objects, right? Now these Java objects, how do they actually map to a database row, for an example, right? There has to be some sort of a interface which guarantee this, right? And that's why Spring Boot also have a JPA interface, and JPA stands for Java Persistence API. We also have JDBC, right? So this JDBC also there is a JDBC template, and along with this you can use, I think there is a bean row property manager. uh, you can use that to map your class Java class, plain Java class, to a row in a database. Okay. And like JP makes it very easier, right? That's why usually nowadays whenever a new application is set up using Spring Boot, most of the time it's done using JP. Yeah. And now in this class, let's say you have members of this class, right? Like let's say 1 2 3 members of the class, they map to a column in the given table, right? So this is like a very high level overview of how all of this things works in Spring Boot.